Dr. Bhabani Mallia here. In the end of this module, Unit 12, we will discuss on conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling, which is more important in the marketing research to understand the consumer preferences and also so different scale to perform them in a right measurement, and the preferences will be calculated, and then we will go for the decision making by using this type of scaling system in our data. So this content of this units are introduction about conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling, and the steps involved in analysis of conjoint analysis by using SPSS. Also, we have demonstrated the screen of SPSS, and also in the fifth item we have given the definition of multidimensional scaling, how it is useful in marketing research to study the performance and preference of the consumer. Then we will go to attribute space, where we have discussed the objective space and perceived space in under the multidimensional scaling. Then we will go for the application of multidimensional scaling, and the same we will useful usually, and the SPSS use of multidimensional scaling we will discuss. Then we have discussed about differences between that conjoint analysis and the multidimensional scaling. After that, we have a brief summary about this unit at the end. So, coming to the outcomes of this unit, we will be able to explain how conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling are computed in this module, how it is important, how it will help us in taking the managerial decision in marketing research, and also we will be able to interpret the findings of conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling. At the end, we will appreciate the application area of conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling in the context of marketing research, and we'll have also focus on differentiation between conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling. We both multidimensional scaling and the conjoint analysis we have demonstrated by the help of SPSS package. We have shared and picturized view screen of calculation, and I have also demonstrated and also mentioned the steps, how we will follow the steps and we will calculate the conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling analysis in the marketing research by citing an example in this module. Then we will apply the concept learned and also real world marketing decisions in this module. So, coming to the introduction of the conjoint analysis, we know that in the real world, in the marketing research, we will definitely find different types of perception preferences of the consumer in our data set. Suppose we are collecting the data for a washing machine and a refrigerator, or we can say for air conditioning machine. So whatever product we are going to purchase from the market, we are not only asking about the price or the model, we are having too much questions. How what is the brand loyalty, what is the effect, and what is the price, and also we are comparing the price of the same product and the different features of the different product. We are asking, or as a consumer, definitely he or she will ask such questions. So it means the producer or the marketing researcher, those who are involved in the market researcher, he or she understand what is the preferences of the consumer, and after understanding the preferences, it is too difficult to get together all preferences and prioritizing these preferences, as well as to study and understand these things and to introduce these priorities in decision making. So, in conjoint analysis, we are here to calculate all these priority and references and preferences, perceptions of a consumer. If we go to the definition of the conjoint analysis, we can see The need and to understand the consumer behavior actually is paramount important for a market researcher. Although consumer behavior has many facets that have to be understood, definitely, and the need to discover the attributes that the consumer considers important is quite common. So what we are doing today now in this model or in this unit, we will discuss two multivariate techniques which will cover all this multidimensional effect of the consumer behavior, that is conjoint analysis and multidimensional scaling. In these two, we will cover these units. So most of these questions are answered by the conjoint analysis technique, which also guides the marketers in optimizing his decisions. It helps him to understand the trade-offs that consumers make between different attributes. In fact, it is with these trade-offs that the marketers finds each greatest opportunities to optimize his marketing efforts. So we can say the multidimensional scaling, which is less demanding data requirements. What we are doing here, now it requires less strict data scaling compares to the traditional attributes-wise data collection method. So before that, when multidimensional scaling was not there, so we are using that scaling or traditional method of collecting or collection of data. But here, when there are in previous time we are facing so many difficulties or challenges while collecting different features or multidimensional things in the collection of data. But nowadays, the multidimensional scaling techniques now is very helpful as because it requires very less strict data to compare. So it is, we can say it is one of the most challenging advantages over the traditional attribute-wise data collection method. And it also works the various data types, or we can say it is versatile and can utilize both precise metric data and simple ranking data. As we know, sometimes in some qualitative data like the color, like the cooling system, like the washing machine time is a quantitative, but the color, brand, all these things are coming under some qualitative data. So in qualitative data, so when so no numeric value has been assigned, in that case also we can use the multidimensional scaling and conjoint analysis also to take the decisions in the marketing research. So it works in any kind of data type. It works in the qualitative data, it works in the quantitative data. In all segments of data, we can use this. And also it is a very consumer friendly approach. What consumer friendly approach now discuss? The method aligns with how consumers naturally evaluate products using relative comparisons like better or worse rather than absolute values. So what we are saying here now, we are collecting data no doubt about the product, but in that process of conjoint and multidimensional scaling analysis, we are framing the question in such a way that they will give their feedback or they evaluate the product by saying whether they are liking or not liking, whether it is better or better, whether it is worse, all these things, rather than giving their absolute values. So in that way, it is very consumer friendly approach to give their response. And also it visualizes competitive landscapes because it generates plots that map competing products or brands within the consumer's perceptual space and inform strategic decisions. These insights are crucial for marketers, researchers, and those are involved in the strategic decision making and to take effective product positioning and marketing strategy decisions. So when such kind of data are analyzed by using such analysis method, then it is very helpful for the marketing researcher and the marketers to take the marketing strategic decisions in a right way and easy way. Coming to the definition or understanding about the conjoint analysis, it is a data decomposition technique, we can say, as because it works by breaking down a consumer's overall evaluation of a product into its constituent parts. What we are doing in the conjoint analysis, we are just decomposing the data. We are decomposing the overall consumer's evaluation data into its constituent parts. It means other parts are also we are studying here. And measures implicit preferences. It also measures and analyzes, uncovers the scores a consumer has implicitly rather than the explicitly assigned to individual attributes than their levels. And also it inputs a overall judgment. The data collected from the consumers based on their holistic responses to entire product descriptions or complete products we are observing, and on the basis of that we are just giving our inputs for the overall judgment. Coming to the fourth points, that attribute output is attribute utilizes. The result is a detailed output showing the utility of each specific attribute and features label. And plots results in joint space. The findings are plotted in a space that visually represents the importance of each attribute together. As we are saying, what we are doing in the conjoint analysis, we are keeping all the data, all the kind of preferences and choices of the consumer over here, and also we are able here to plot the preferences in a graph so that it will be more clear and visualized by the and it is also helpful to take any kind of decision which is visually represent the importance of each attributes at same time at the same place in a diagram. Conjoint analysis calculates path worth utilities that we describe, which are important weight a consumer gives to different attribute levels. So these utilities are directly comparable, revealing the trade-offs consumers can make evaluating the products. So the technique also determines the relative importance of each attributes based on this utility score. As we are collecting the utility score, so on the basis of this utility score we can determine the relative importance of each attribute. And it also requires only simple input data such as a consumer's ranking of pre-designed product alternatives. So from this, it generates individualized path worth utility scores for the consumers. So in the step of the application of conjoint analysis, we can say we are identifying the key attributes actually. As we are taking care of the attributes or the data, we are giving importance to the attributes of the consumer. First, what we are doing in the conjoint analysis, we are identifying the key attributes of a given product from the perspective of a consumers. Suppose we are collecting the data and we are focusing in our questionnaire some attributes, many attributes I have given, and we have given the questionnaire to the respondent. Then after getting the data from the respondent, we will find out what is the key attribute among all the attributes given by the consumer. Then we are assigning a set of discrete level or a range of continuous values to each of the attributes. So what we are doing after identification of the key attributes, then we are assigning a set of discrete levels or a range of continuous values to each of the attributes. Then we are designing the stimuli for the experiment using a fractional factorial design of experiment. Then physically designing the stimuli, then ranking or rating the data collection. Then we are going for the conjoint analysis and this determination of path worth utilities. Then at the end, the last application is applying the output of conjoint analysis to return to different marketing areas. So coming to the first application, that identification of salient attributes, unlike MDS means the multidimensional scaling or factor analysis, conjoint analysis requires the salient attributes to be given. So these attributes can be selected based on the marketer's experience, in-depth interviewing, or focused group decision discussions. In some cases, factor analysis or multidimensional scaling may also be used for labeling the salient features. So what we are doing in the identification of the salient attributes, we are focusing or we are emphasizing that in attributes with the help of in-depth interview, or we can say in the case discussion, or we can say focus group discussion. In that way we are identifying what are the salient attributes which are actually important for us, and we will go for the analysis or labeling the salient features and factors of the respondents. Then coming to the second, that after identification of the attributes, we will move to the assignment of level of selected attributes. So once we have identified, then the real product can be described as specific combinations of attributes where each attribute can take on different values. Sometimes the attribute can take only discrete value. For example, a soap, we can read here that a soap can technically be produced in all colors. We may find sometimes green, red, pink, so these kind of different colors. Blue also, few colors are there, but some colors like dark black, this is not found, may be ruled out, as because some attributes such as price of the price or product life may have continuous values. So conjoint analysis can treat them as well. So what we discussed over here in the example, as we said for a soap, we have seen also, we have gone through many colors for the soaps. But if we talk about the dark color soap, it is ruled out. But here in the conjoint analysis, we can also treat them, or we can also study them. So some range of values may be specified for them, or some range may be kept open-ended. So we can see here fractional factorial design of experiment that we have cited in the right hand side of the slide. We can see here the attributes we have identified, that is brand, price, washing capacity, then color, then loading capacity. So in conjoint analysis, the profile of different products are presented to the consumers for their responses, and these profiles are generated by varying the levels of their attributes. For example, suppose we are conducting a conjoint analysis based on study of washing machines. So let us assume that the most important attributes, what I said, that brand, price, washing capacity, colors, and loading profile. And what are the level? If you will see the table 12.1, that is attributes of washing machines, that we can see here, brand having three levels, that A, B, C, D. So the brand having four levels, A, B, C, D. Four different levels are there for the brand. And similarly for price, there are another three levels, that is rupees 15,000, rupees 20,000, rupees 25,000. So three different levels are here for the price. And if we focus on the washing capacity, then there are three different three different capacity, that is high, medium, and low washing capacity for the soap. And if we will focus on the color of the attribute is one color is one attribute in that table. And what labels are given to the color? Now steel gray, white, light blue, and pink. So how many levels are there for color? Now there are four levels for color, attribute color. Then coming to the last attribute, that is loading type. In loading type, we can say there are two levels for loading type. One is front loading and another one is top loading. So these are the different levels for each individual attributes. So here in this example, we have taken only 5 attributes, and we have discussed the different levels for each individual respective attributes. Let us see how we will go for the conjunction analysis in this particular table. So coming to that 12.2 table, as we have a calculation here in the left hand side of the slide, that as we have shown here, we all of you remember, first we are having three, four level, second price having three levels, washing capacity three, then four, then two. So you can see here, since we have five attributes and can have 4, 3, 3, 4, 2 levels. See here, first 4, then 3, then this is 4 into 3 into 3 into this is also again 4 into 2. So we have multiplied all total possible number of attributes products that can be generated by configuring these attributes. It is equal to 288. So to determine the part value utilities of each of these attributes level, we will need to solicit responses from 288 different product concepts. So this number is certainly too large for any consumer. Therefore, we resort to the method of fractional factorial design of experiments to make this manageable. So coming to this 12.2 table, it describes about the product concept cards. So what is it? Now we can see here how many cards are there. The first column contains cards and it contains 16 cards. And if we go to the brand, we have mentioned how many brands we have. Basically, we in the 12.1 table, we have only 4 brands, that is A, B and C, D. So that brand I had given, and as price was another attribute, that prices for different brands we have mentioned. Then capacity I have mentioned here, then colors and loading types. So it will see the first card 1. So card 1 says it is brand A and which price is 15,000 and the capacity is very high. It is steel grey in color and it is a front loading washing machine. So the card wise representation of the washing machine, it has been described here. Here washing machine is a product, and in the product description table, the concept card and about the card, what is the different attributes are there, we can see. The same here, we can, if somebody will say card 11, what about the description of card 11? Then a person can say it is the brand C and the price is 20,000 and the capacity is when medium. Then it is in color, it is light blue in color and it is a front loaded washing machine. The same way, the 16 cards has been explained over here as per the data we have in the manufacturing company. Then it is all about the third fractional factorial design of experiment, or we can say here we are experiments, or we have treated all the attributes according to their level and we have given the cards under the each card what are the description of the product that it has been given over here. Coming to the fourth points, that physical design of stimuli. So in conjoint analysis requires presenting selected product concept and stimuli to consumers to evaluation. So in this idea or method is using real world prototypes for trial. So but this is often impractical, because if we take the case of washing machine, so we cannot give a prototype, or we can show them but we can give them a practical use for that. So more feasible alternatives include using product models, diagrams, pictures or verbal description. So in this case, though where we are not giving the prototype trial, so in that case we can give them the idea about their product or models, how it works, what is the diagrams, pictures and verbal description we can give to the customers. And the choice of the stimulus depends on the research constraints, and a simpler method often suffices for the consumer evaluation. Sometimes it is too difficult to give the stimuli to the consumers. So actually it is a very simpler method often suffices for the consumer evaluation process. Coming to the fifth point, that is data collection, we can say the consumers are asked only to assign a rating scores to each of the product stimuli or the model, or even rank them in different concepts presented to them. So in that way, we are collecting the realistic data, and the realistic task is very similar in shopping experiences where the consumer merely makes choices. So this is covering under data collection method. And in the sixth point, it was that in the application of conjoint analysis, is the determination of parts of worth utilities. What is the meaning of this? That the rating or ranking of the ranking data that is obtained from the consumers is analyzed next, because after collection of the data we are going for the data analysis. So two methods are more popular for this purpose. In one method, the part of utilities for each of the levels for each attributes is arbitrarily assigned. Based on these assumed values, the consumer's overall rating or ranking is estimated. And after few iterations, the convergence is achieved so that the part worth utility is found approximately, and to estimate the responses of the actual data and the based. So in the alternate, it was the first method, but in the alternative method, what we are doing, the part worth or utilities are derived in one step. Here an error function describing the difference between the estimated and actual data defined. Then the function is often minimized, as because the error terms as there, we are always advised to minimize the error. In our example, that the description about the brand utility, capacity, brand, all these things, and the cards we have designed, then we are seeing in the table 12.3 that part worth utilities for the attributes and their levels. So in this example, we have taken, as we already discussed, this is an example of washing machine. The attributes is brand, that is 25%, and the levels for different brands is 1 A, B, C, D, 4 brands, and it is calculated. It is mentioned the data collected for brand, it is 25%, but the part worth utility we can see here. For level A it is 2.2, but for level 2 it is negative, that is 2.3, and for C also it is negative, that is 0.8, where but in case of D it is 0.9, we can see here. So some negative value we have in this table for attribute price also. For washing machine, that is high capacities, part worth utility is 0, whereas medium and having the positive part worth utility, but in case of low capacity, it is -1. So similarly for collar has been calculated, and loading type also, or many of the consumer has treated top is 0.1, where front is negative values. So from the table 12.3, the same thing we have plotted here, which will be easy for us to understand the relative importance assigned by the customers to the different attributes of washing machine. We can see here the attributes we have assigned here. That is, first one is brands, then price, capacity, color, and type. We can see here for brand it is 25.40 percentage, and washing machine capacity is 4.90, and the color is having 2.80, which we can see here, and the type is 0.70. So the relative importance value of the attributes were calculated by subtracting the maximum and minimum values of the respective attributes. Part worth utilities and the relative importance of the different attributes has been shown here. That here from the 12.1 table we can visualize that the price is one attribute which is highly impacted and highly responded by the respondents, that is 66.20, where brand is only 25.40 percentage. So customers responds quite predictably to different price level, but they prefer the less expensive ones over the more expensive ones. So among brand, we find that brand A is most liked by brand liked, and B is the least liked brand. However, they do not prefer the high capacity of the most, as we have seen that high capacity is zero. It means no such respondents or the customers, we can say, those who are preferring high capacity washing machine over here. As per the example we have cited here, and they like medium size best. In terms of color, they prefer pink the most. Between two types of front loading washing machines are preferred more. Then however, the score of the wash capacity, color and safe are quite low. But we can see here in the 12.22 table, see, yeah, 12.2, 12.2 says part worth utility of brand. So, if we can see, we have remembered in the brand we have four brands, that is A, B, C, and D. We can see that brand A are having 2.2 is the highest one, and brand B is minus 2.3 is negative. It is not preferred by the consumers. And coming to the third brand, that is C, brand C, it is 0.8, which is medium one, but 0.9 is the second highest brand is chosen by the different consumers. And coming to the part worth utility of price. So as we have five attributes we are having in our first table, if we have remembered, see, we have five attributes: brand, price, washing machine, color, and loading type. So we have already discussed the attributes. It is the combined impact of all attributes. But then we have discussed the part worth of brand utility. We found that the brand A is highly popular, and the second is 0.9 that contains brand D, then 3 C, the last one is B. Coming to the third, coming to the second attribute, that price. So 15,000 was highly recommended by the respondent, and 20,000 priced washing machine is the second highest, and 25 is the lowest. Coming to the washing machine capacity, we have three levels in the attributes. We have three levels for the attribute washing capacity that we can see here: high, medium, and low. But medium is mostly preferred by the consumers, where it's highly capacitated washing machine is not preferred by the consumer, but low is a negative one. And coming to the shape of part worth utility of shape, we have cylindrical and box type. But actually, box type washing machine is preferred by the consumer at most. And the last one was part worth utility of different type loading type. So in loading type attribute, we had only two attributes, two levels, sorry. For loading type attribute, loading type is an attribute, and the levels are two, that is front loading and top loading. So we can see here, top loading washing machines is more preferred by the consumers or the customers in comparison to the front loading washing machine. So the part worth utilities can now be added to determine the total utility for each of possible product concepts. This allows us to scan the consumer preference pattern for all 288 products concepts. So although he has been exposed onto only 16 items, we can now also rank all of these 288 product concepts over here. Now coming to the seventh application of conjoint analysis, 7 point, that calculating the part worth utilities is only the beginning of many interesting applications of conjoint analysis. In marketing, conjoint analysis has wide application. Most of a marketing manager needs to understand how a consumer makes a purchase decision and how they evaluate various tangible and intangible attributes associated with a particular product. It is also helpful for a marketers as well as the producer as well as the consumer to understand the concept, and we can say the data or the choices prefer or the preferences given by the respondent will help a manufacturer or a producer what category of product to be produced and how much to be produced to get a optimal decision or optimal profit from the market. So coming to some other applications of marketing applications of content analysis, one is optimum product design. So here we got this from the SPSS that all possible product concepts can be compared after adding their prospective attribute level and part worth utilities. It is possible to determine the demand for different products out of any given set of available products. And second one is market segments. And since the content analysis is done at the individual consumer level, the individual consumer's identity can be retained throughout the analysis. Thus, consumers can be segmented according to their sensitivity to different product attributes. We can see here the original count of disloyal and loyal about the matrix. We can see here that 76.7% of original group class is correctly classified and 73.3 percentage is cross validated groups is correctly classified in this data. Then the third one is SWOT analysis. So here what we are doing now, the brand's part worth utility can reveals information about its relative and brand strength. Similarly, by looking at the other features of one's own and competitors' offer, conjoint analysis enables the marketer to conduct a detailed SWOT analysis in strength, weakness, output, taste analysis, and in the fourth, estimating consumer level brand equity. That conjoint analysis bridges the gap between consumer perceptions and the financial worth offers. So this can be used for estimating the important parameters of brand equity at the consumer level. There is a scope of differentiating the loyal acceptors or switchers for the accurate calculation of brand equity. Now the time is to how we will use this concept in a large data set in the software SPSS. So here we have taken examples. Here we have considered 4 factor labels that are categorized and the color of the product, 6 factors labels for brand, 3 factor labels per characterized price, and 2 factors labels are label text are in the table given. So what are the factors? As we said, we have 4 factors: color and price level. In level 1, we are saying color dark brown, it may be orange. As we said, for factor 1, first for factor 1 color, we have 4 levels, that is dark brown, orange, colorless, and yellow. And for second attribute, that is brand, we have taken Coke, Mahindra, Fanta, Sprite, Pepsi, Mazda. We are having 6 factors, 6 levels, we can say here. And for price, we have 3 levels, to 40 liters, 25 liters, 30 liters. And for level, we have complex and simple. This is a problem how we will go in the SPSS, as we have assigned objective, as we have an idea about the different levels of the different attributes, and we have multiplied 4 into 6 into 3 into 2 is equal to 144. So to minimize the customer's burden, orthogonal design was adopted using the SPSS to lower the number of combinations profile and thereby reduce the implementation's difficulty and improve the response accuracy in the survey. So we can see here in the factor name we have given the label, then we have given different kind of factor. We have added one by one. We have 3 different factor we have added. Then we will select generate. We will go to the generate, that will take you to the generate orthogonal design. See, from orthogonal first we will start from the data, then we will move to orthogonal. Then orthogonal design to generate. Then we will follow the below mentioned steps that like generate will take you to the orthogonal design. This is the screen orthogonal design. In the orthogonal design box, fit the factor name and factor label mentioned by adding them into the screen. Then clicking add, we will add them. Now we will click the factor button, factor name, and we are ready to have been fed the dialog box and select define the different values over here in define values. After that, a new dialog box will come to generate the level that we mentioned. As you can see here, different values as are given for the different level. Then once the level has mentioned, then go to the data selection file. We will select the file. Then after the data set name is defined, check that the reset random number set is set to this particular number. Then now we will move to the option and select the minimum number of cases to be generated. As per the thumb rule, the minimum number of cases required to be considered is equal to the total number of level across all factors. So the number of factors plus 1. Suppose we have 4 factors and 15 levels, therefore the minimum will be considered. And after after deciding the minimum number of cases to be generated, the number of holdout cases need to be determined. Then most researchers suggest the ratio of 5 is to 1 in that. Then we will select continue and we will press OK. Then coming to the third step, we will come to the orthogonal design. Here we will this will display the generated choice card as we are showing in the second table 12.2. We have prepared a choice card table. In each card, they are having different attributes are assigned for each individual cards. So in data menu also we will go to the orthogonal design, then we will go for display. Now SPSS will now take you to the output of the file, then that will give you the result or card generated. In this example, actually we have 32 choices cards were generated and which is greater than the minimum number of required profile that was total. So after hence that we will proceed to find out the solution. And coming to the result, we can see here, as all of you have remembered, we have different soft drinks brands we had previously. See the different values we have calculated and we have found from the SPSS that Fanta's color is so different color value has given attributes value has given for color it is 27.467 and brand it is 52.237 and for price it is 8.744 and for level attribute it is 11.553. So from the result it has seen that despite being the favorite among mango lovers still scored the lowest utility value that is calculated, and this may be due to the characteristics of soft drinks where Mazza is not the only non-reacted drink considered in the levels. So this provides insight into why it is not significant to compare aerated and not aerated drinks. So Mazza is hence not included in the analysis, but we can say Fanta's low utility suggests its scale could improve by adopting attributes like dark color, complex labeling. Through these are impractical on the orange tree. So its competitor Mahindra performs better despite being the same category, and this analysis highlights how specific attributes influences brand's success or failure. So all these things we had discussed in this example actually very helpful for the marketer researcher as well as the producer to take the right decision to be succeed or failure in the marketing competition. It was all about the conjoint analysis. Then in the same unit, we had another analysis was more multidimensional scaling. So what is the meaning and usefulness of the multidimensional scaling? We can see here, it is a scaling or a multivariate analysis technique This is particularly suitable for measuring human perceptions and preferences for products and brands. So this concerned with the spatial representation or relationship among behavioral data, that is behavior, bio perceptions and preferences, all things can be studied by using multidimensional scaling. So the main purpose of the multidimensional scaling is to map the objects in a multidimensional space such that their relative positions in the space show the degree of perceived proximity or similarity amongst them. So this map is termed a perceptual map, or we can say spatial map. Thus the MDS involves the following aspects. These are, it helps the identification of attributes that influence how consumers perceive or access brands or products. Then it enables the positioning of different products or brands on the basis of these attributes. Then it also helps to generate a perceptual map indicating the location of the brand on the basis of the attributes. We can see here we have categorized four different parts in region wise: north, south, east and west, and different locations coming here we have assigned here. It is called the spatial map, we can say, and the distance between those 2 points in the snap is given by the formula, that is d12 x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square of square root of this values. And the task is to work backwards. This is, we would have to determine here that number of dimensions at the same time we can measure, then configuration of points in that perceptual space so that their computed interpoint distances most closely matches to the input data. That of course we say that we can match the interdependence and interpoint distance closely in the input data. So this is the problem of metric multidimensional scaling. Whenever inputs data is revealed in a interval scale or a ratio scale, it is called metric dimension multidimensional scale. So in the example of multidimensional scaling, or in the portion that attribute to space objective space and perceived space we are discussing in these portions of multidimensional scaling, we can take an example that there is a business school. A study was conducted in that leading business school A among the first year MBA students to find out how other business school were similar or different from that business school A. Okay, so various attributes are used to evaluate the business schools, that is the different aspects or attributes you can say here, that faculty and faculty or student ratio, starting salaries of the MBA students, then physical facilities like a library and computers and so on. But which of the attributes do students actually use in making the competitive comparisons between these business schools? So this is the problem. Here we are going to use the multidimensional scaling technique to understand how we will compare the business school A with other business school. So here we have introduced, or we have considered different levels or it is actually levels, that is faculty one level, then faculty student ratio, then starting salary of the students, those are placed after the completion of the MBA course, and then physical facilities like library or other facilities we have taken as the attributes in the problem. Then what we did here, now let us consider six leading business school we have taken, that A, B, C, D, E, F. The same spatial diagram I had cited here in 12.8, that we have categorized the B schools: poor quality, good quality, high quality and low quality. So in that way we have divided four segments of the B schools. Around 100 students were given a questionnaire in which they were asked to respond the questions that indicates various attributes of a management school. So, what are the attributes? The students had to mark the schools and were similar or dissimilar on the different counts. So, we have framed in that particular case, we have framed such questions. Those are addressing the attributes which we are going to study, and we have placed with the 100 students. What result we got? Now, the multidimensional scaling technique is therefore very useful in plotting the perception of the consumer about different brands, products, and services. Then, this analysis could be used by a company's marketing manager to develop additional marketing strategy. As it is clearly visible in this particular example, see, as we have taken six B schools, and we found that who are the B schools? They are lying in which quadrant of this diagram, that we have segmented in four qualities, four things, that is good qualities and poor qualities of the course content, high and low. In that way, we have decide the good quality and poor quality. We have the attribute course content, and in attribute starting salary, we have two levels, that is high and low. So in that way, we can see here course content good and high salary. We have having only two B schools, that is A and B, and high quality, good quality and low salary, we are seeing that E and D as they are. And for poor quality, low salary, we can see F and C is there. And high quality, high starting salary and poor quality, there is no, actually there is no possibility that the quality of course content will be very poor, and they are getting high scale of salary. So it is not possible. That is why this quadrant remain vacant over here. So coming to the first segment, that is market segments. In market segments, in the technique of trying to identify groups of consumers who exhibit commonality of perception of products and preferences over there, one can use multidimensional scaling techniques to identify present perceptions of products by consumers and use it to modify the company's product package and advertising additional features, so that product offering by the company moves more and more closer to the ideal requirement of the consumer. And in the second, advertisement evaluation, the multidimensional scaling technique could use the stage of advertisement presenting, and once the advertisement has been developed, it can be tested for similarity or dissimilarity with other advertisements in the same product strategy. In third point, we are discussing about product repositioning strategy. Repositioning strategies means if a company is interested to repositioning its product or services, keeping in mind the consumer's perception and requirement, the first and foremost activity to be done is the assess the current perception of the product and in the mind of the consumer, of a product in the mind of the consumer. Then in the fourth point, we will talk about the new product. Means if the manufacturer or the producer is talking about the launching of new product, then multi-dimensional scaling shows the different perceived perception of different brands and space or gaps in the product that to be breached by the producer. And coming to the taste marketing, here by the using of multidimensional scaling, one can use to identify the cities actually where the brands to be launched and where it is not working. At the same time, one can thus observe that multidimensional scaling is a very useful technique to help and understand the market. Once we understand the market requirement and consumer perception and preferences, then we can go for the future marketing strategy, whether to develop or to remain stagnant on that particular strategy. Then, the last but not the least, we talked about both conjunction or conjoint analysis and multidimensional analysis. though they are very similar in nature, and they are working of marketing research and performance of the product and the company's decision making. Both are very similar to with each other, but they are having some differences between them. So we in the differences column we have given how they are different from each other in their purpose of application and grouping, and what statistics they both of them has taken. So if we will go to the multidimensional scaling, which is recently we discussed, the primary purpose of the multidimensional scaling is to identify the dimension and attributes by which the objects are perceived by the consumer. We can, to understand the same concept, we should move to our previous table. See, in the given example of B schools, here is the example. We are talking about a B school. See, this is the B school. In multidimensional scaling, how it is helpful to determine which school will be the best one, or we are distinguished between these five, these six school, which one is best one. What we did now, we have identified the attributes that we in the segment we can see here. We have four attributes that actually we have two attributes, that is course content, one is starting salary. Priorly we had four features, but we are here discussing only two features. Again, these contents are distinguished with two levels, that is course content having two levels, that is good quality and poor quality course content. Excuse me. And similarly, for starting salary in the B schools after completion of MBA, we have also two levels, that is starting salary and starting salary that is having high salary and low salary. So using this multidimensional scaling, it is helpful to understand. Also, it is clearly visible that which B schools are falling on which quadrant, and each quadrant having the value, like the first quadrant says the low quality but good course content. Course content is very good, fine, but the salary they are getting is very low. In that quadrant, we have only two B schools, that is D and E. If we will talk about the second quadrant, we can see here the course content is very good in quality, and the student of these B schools is they are getting very high salary, that is school A and B school B. So in this particular example we are discussing about the comparison of B school A with other B school of the same territory. So we found these things very clearly, that A is a school which is good in comparison to another four different B schools, but another B school is there, school B, that is also in the same quadrant. So these things we can easily find out by using the multi dimensional scaling, as because we are identifying the object, but in the same time in conjoint analysis we can say we can use this to measure the joint effect of the identified or we can say observed attribute that are found to be important for the consumer. Like with the same point we can say in case of soft drinks, while analyzing different brands of soft drinks and having different colors, tastes, and also different preferences of the consumers, we find out which brand is actually growing and which one is not growing by using the conjoint analysis. Both are similar kind of problem, but different problem, different decision can be taken by selecting the appropriate analysis method. So coming to the grouping in multidimensional scaling, the products are mapped together based on the revealed similarities and preferences that consumer perceive. But in conjoint analysis, the most influential attributes that have the high part worth utility that we have already discussed in a table 2.12.4, 5 and 6 individual part worth utilities of the different attributes we have seen discussed there. For the considered products are combined together to enhance the product. And coming to the statistics, what is the differences? Now the objects and the products are mapped in a multi-dimensional space such that the relative position of the space show the degree of perceived similarity and preferences. Whereas in conjoint analysis, the part worth of each attributes are estimated, that overall utility for the highest profile is determined quickly. So it was all about the differences between dimensional scaling and conjoint analysis. So coming to the summary of this unit, that conjoint analysis is a technique that decomposes overall consumer preferences, whereas we are critically evaluating the consumer's attributes and their implicit priorities, and also in the process it involves selecting key attributes, defining their levels, which is more important, because without label we cannot go for calculating the overall impression of the attribute, impression of the consumers. And a structured experiment design for testing also prepared by this conjoint analysis. The analysis yields part worth utilities, which is most important. We are seen in the brands or preferring the brands of different soft drinks we have seen, and at the end its application are vital in strategic decisions like new products launching, designing, or segmentation of the marketing research. It was all about the conjoint analysis and multidimensional analysis. Well, thank you for the today's session.